What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Now kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me. We saw a record-breaking, over 2 million people, a record-breaking viewing for the WNBA draft, man. The 2024 class is bringing all types of eyeballs, all types of star power to the league. And I don't think it'll ever be the same. I love what so many teams did, but we got to talk about one of the down points, man. When those salaries got released and people saw what Caitlin Clark, the number 1 overall pick, would be making over the next 4 years on her rookie contract, which I'm assuming, man, she's getting more bread from Gatorade and State Farm than she's making from the WNBA. But well-respected, well-renowned, well-known journalist Jemele Hill went on a rant on X, formerly known as Twitter, sharing her thoughts on the pay discrepancy between the WNBA rookies and the NBA rookies. But before we get into all that, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest, and join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. Now, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised by the numbers myself. Looking at the breakdown over the 4-year contract for Caitlin Clark, the total being $338,056. In her rookie year, Clark will make from the WNBA $76,535. Year 2, she will make $78,066. Year 3, it ticks up a little bit at $85,873. And then the option year in 2027, year 4, goes up more at $97,582. Now, that sounds like a solid amount of money for the normal working American, right? Slightly above average. But when you think about them being pro athletes, that's kind of wild. And that brings me to my point where you look at the rookies in the NBA are getting like 55 mil as rookies, y'all. And I mean, to be honest, ain't no player in the class this year going into the NBA draft got more notoriety or more accomplishments than Caitlin Clark. I'm going to just throw it out there. And that brings me to my next point of Jemele Hill's rant. She said, quote, "I'm already annoyed by this conversation because for years, WNBA players have fought for more money, and when they were outspoken, so many of y'all told them to shut up and reminded them how they had no value. The NBA had 50-plus years of investment, media coverage, etc. After 27 years, the WNBA will not be the current NBA, so stop comparing them." Further context. This salary is for 4 months of basketball, 40 games for the WNBA. Players also receive a free apartment plus car. That doesn't make the salaries acceptable, but now you know why so many women's basketball players play overseas to supplement their income. Weaponizing this information against WNBA players is another form of misogyny. These women have been dreaming of playing professionally in front of American audiences their whole lives. Instead of clowning and reminding them of what they're not, buy the merchandise, go to the games, and watch the games on television. Very easy to criticize when most of y'all couldn't get paid to compete at anything. Ooh, shots fired. Then she further went, in the 1970s, NBA players' salary averaged $90K a year. That's the equivalent of $500K today. So for that time, that was actually pretty good money. And the league was largely broke. WNBA players have never advocated to make the exact same as NBA players. They've advocated to make more of the current revenue, which is facts. For the first time in the league's history, there are more private WNBA owners than NBA finance teams. That's a sign of the league's growth. And we know Asia Wilson's been trying to get Beyonce to buy a team. I've seen Serena Williams might be interested in buying one. So something to note. Point 3, report after report has shown that men's sports consistently get more media attention and marketing than women, regardless of proof of concept. A consistent issue in women's sports has been consistently undervalued and thus undersupported. I do get where she's coming from, and I do agree that the women's game is going rapidly, a lot thanks to women's college basketball and us following those stars, we get accustomed to them now. You see the same players for 3 and 4 years. There's no one and done in women's college basketball. So we grow attached to these players, their personalities, their characters. And now more of us are following their careers in the WNBA. I know for a fact I'm definitely going to be watching the most WNBA I've ever watched this season. I'm stoked, man. We're fully invested in these rookies, and the 2024 class could be the class to ultimately change the WNBA forever. I mean, the WNBA has had this stigma for so long of just not being a good product, and that's totally not true, man. Naysayers who've never watched a WNBA game will say it's boring, it's lackluster, and it's not a good brand of basketball. But if you really watch, I mean, you can listen to the NBA players that have advocated and then go support these ladies. Like, you think your YMCA team is lacing up against Asia Wilson and the Aces? Yeah, you better think again. I think the fact of the matter, though, is that with the revenue, the TV contracts, and the sponsors that are coming into the WNBA and pouring in money, and the extra eyes that will be watching these players, they do deserve a bigger cut of the revenue, and that would solve a lot of the financial problems. Because, man, you got players living in L.A. making this type of money. Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson. L.A., and then you think about the Liberty as well, living in New York on these salaries. You basically living paycheck to paycheck after taxes and paying rent. I mean, for them, luckily, they don't have to worry about paying rent, so that cuts a huge cost. But still, these women's hoopers are being severely undervalued. And it's time for a change, folks. I'm just saying. And we're seeing record-breaking viewers in the college game. We're seeing record-breaking viewers tuning into the WNBA draft, which was incredible, by the way. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. Starting off, like we said, we knew the Indiana Fever. Everybody knew, unless you've been under a rock, that they were taking Caitlin Clark. Not only for the name, but the skill set as well, man, because she fits an immediate need. And that is a passing guard. Yes, we know she was a bucket, but let's not ignore the 1,000 assists, man. She was dishing that rock. Now we get a dynamic duo with Aaliyah Boston, who is cheesing ear to ear, along with Caitlin Clark. They also have Kelsey Mitchell, who's a stud as well. So that's a really good big three to build around. Indiana was kind of a doormat of the league, but they still fought hard. They competed every game, and they did show some really good signs and bright spots. Caitlin Clark is going to sell out arenas. We know that. We've seen Tyrese Halliburton already giving her the shout out. It's all over social media. She's going to fill seats. She even said it herself. It's going to be a hot ticket. Get your tickets now. But we're talking about one of the most highly decorated college players to ever come in, the most prolific scoring guard we've ever seen, coming in that pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston. She ain't never played with no Aaliyah Boston in her whole career, y'all. No disrespect to Hannah Stokey, but come on. This is a whole different type of what's going on. This is a whole different type of flavor over here, if you know what I'm saying. Aaliyah Boston, bigger, physical, and just honestly more skilled than any big that she has ever teamed up with, man. Her and Clark are going to do damage. That was one thing with the Fever last year that was killing me, man. They did not have a guard that could get Aaliyah Boston the ball. And you're talking about a player in Aaliyah Boston who could stretch the floor, shoot the ball, pick and pop, you know what I'm saying? But also has the capability of finding Caitlin Clark. If she gets double teamed in the post, Boston's kicking that thing out. Like, she's a gifted passer, a monster on the boards. You get Kelsey Mitchell now who can go off ball and just focus on scoring the basketball. Man, I really like this team. I think they're going to play faster than last year. They're going to be way more open. And people have talked about it a lot, guys. Is Caitlin Clark going to be able to get her rocks off the way she is in college? Is she going to be able to play the same way that she's playing? Is she really going to be able to get her off in the WNBA? That's what we all been wondering. And, the Indiana Fever coaching staff has already came out and said, why mess with it? Why try to fix something that's not broken? Clark's going to have the green light. She's going to have the keys to the offense. And there's nothing stopping this team from honestly being a playoff contender, man. Just from adding Caitlin Clark. This isn't no hype train. We ain't riding nothing like it. Ain't nothing like that. She is joining a squad with talent that was really a guard away from making some serious noise. Now they get a playmaker who can initiate offense and get these scorers the ball and make life easier for these players, man. So I'm excited. Aaliyah Boston is a special talent. They get back-to-back number one picks, which never happens. That's insane. I don't know what the Fever are doing, but they got number one picks in consecutive drafts. That don't never happen. That's nuts. But Caitlin Clark coming to Indiana, we know the cultural impact she's going to make there. As far as, man, they might have more viewers than the Pacers. They don't watch out. I'm telling you, man. Clark, Iowa is not that far from Indiana. She's going to have that following. She's playing in a bigger platform, better resources, better talent. And we've already seen ticket prices double for certain teams. Teams have had to move venues. Like, it's going to be major. I think what she did for the college game, she will be able to do for the WNBA as well. And not just her alone. Not saying it's just got to be her and her, she's the be-all, end-all, be-all. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, looking at the perspective, man, she's elevated the game. She's a brand, and she's going to bring a lot of eyeballs. And I'm actually really interested to see, too, if she ends up making the Olympic team, because that would be major as well. Moving on to the LA Sparks, man, they hit 2 home runs. They might have won the draft. I love what the LA Sparks did, man. They lost a lot in free agency. They bring some pieces back, but they have shored up the front court, man. You lose Agumake, that's a huge loss. But bringing in Cameron Brink, who is just scratching the surface, man. I felt like it would either be Brink or Cardoso in this pick. Brink a little bit more seasoned, farther along on the offensive side of the ball. But, I mean, we've seen her expand her game, man. She can shoot the 3, pick and pop, get it off the dribble. I seen a highlight. She hit a Euro step off the dribble. At 6'4", just long, elite shot blocker, elite timing, has gotten more physical. She'll need to put a little weight on, a little muscle on, but they'll get her right in L.A. I think it's mad cool that she gets to stay in Cali, too, man. Just stay into her roots, but Brink, major upside still. I think she's just scratching the surface, but she's an elite rim protector, which will help the Sparks immediately transition into this next era of trying to get the respect of their franchise back. But I'm excited to see her as well as Rickea Jackson, man. Like, 2 home runs. Rickea Jackson might be the most ready player in this entire draft, man. You talk about a player that can play the 3 or the 4. She's just going to be a walking bucket in the WNBA, man. The highly coveted wing, can play on the perimeter, has the handle, has the lateral movement, has that wiggle in her game, can get shots off, can play back to the basket, hit the fadeaway, hit the mid-range, hit the three-pointer. She can bring the ball up the court. Like, she is just special, man. I think Rickea Jackson, we could look back at the end of all this, and Rickea Jackson could be the most accomplished player in this draft. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked. She is elite. And then putting her next to Cameron Brink, who can focus more on the defensive side, but can also still give you points as well. I mean, they're going to be tough to defend, y'all. You talking about 2 forwards that can really stretch the floor, that can get it off the dribble, that can defend. Like, this is exciting for them, man. They bring back Zaya Cook. And they have some talent, man. Like, I'm excited to see how this team looks next season, or this season coming up, I should say. I think, we've seen so many rookies that have been cut in the first round in the past years, but I think, in my opinion, between them and Chicago, they keep both of their rookies, man. But Rickea Jackson, home run hit. I was hoping they would get her, man. I wasn't sure I thought maybe they would get her at 2 and then bank on Cameron Brink or Cardoso, just grabbing one of them, whoever was there. But they went big first. Shout out Cameron Brink, because she's a stud. She's a gamer. I loved seeing her in that 3-on-3 tournament, showing how physical she could be in the international stage. Her length is a problem. Her being able to stretch the floor is going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? They lose like a Katie Lou Samuelson. You get a Cameron Brink who can come in and really produce right away. Rickea Jackson will be in that Rookie of the Year running. I think they need to give her the ball and get the heck out of the way. I've loved hearing both of their stories, man. Both of them, just crediting their family and everybody that's poured into them. It truly does take a village to get to that point. So that was really awesome to see. And it's interesting to see this dynamic duo. Like, they do so many things well, y'all. Like, the Sparks really hit it out the park, guys. I mean, I love how interchangeable these two players will be, man. Like, Rickea Jackson getting it into the paint, And them in transition, trying to stop them in transition, how both of them, I mean, Cam Brink at 6'4" runs like a gazelle. They both can get up and down the floor. They're both super skilled. They're both dogs. They got that tenacity, and they're coming to compete, man. Cameron Brink out there looking like a prime Cameron Diaz. I mean, this is nuts, guys. This is nuts. But I love it, man. I love the energy, man. She doing some modeling too. They getting that NIL money still. Nobody taking pay cuts. They moving along, man. The biggest story, though, which is crazy, especially after the brawl, especially after so many tough competitions from high school to now being bitter rivals in college. Now, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Angel Reese are teaming up in Chi-Town, y'all. Playing in Chicago with T-Spoon. Just a legendary player in the WNBA. Bringing in two dogs. I mean, Chicago on the glass? Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso competing with that on the glass? Oh my gosh. Like, that is going to be tough. You talk about two fierce competitors who ain't backing down from nobody. This is another team that I think keeps both of their rookies, man. They've solidified their front court from the present and the future. They needed size. They bring in two of the best bigs in the entire country, two dominant glass eaters. Camila Cardoso has so much upside. She's just scratching the surface. Her offensive game, when she gets a go-to move, watch out. But elite shot blocker, elite rebounder, runs the floor really, really well, athletic, and just is a sponge, man. She's gotten better every year she's been in college. On top of that, you add Angel Reese, who y'all saw my last video where we were showing her hitting the three, stretching the floor. She can shoot the ball. She's shown those point forward skills where she can bring the ball up the court and initiate offense. She's a gifted passer, so she will be able to help get Camila Cardoso the basketball as well. Dominant on the glass. I think she will show more finesse and more of her skill set in the WNBA, man, because she's not going to be able to just bully players like she did at LSU. So I think we see both of these players really get their next level, that full potential unlocked with this Chicago Sky team. I'm excited, man. They're gritty, they're tough, they're competitors, and that's the perfect type of player and personalities for a city like Chicago, man. Shout out Camila Cardoso. Very emotional. She about had your man crying a little bit, tearing up a little bit, like who's cutting onions up in here. Having her family, crediting her sister for getting her involved in basketball, man. It was just awesome to see her be able to share that moment. Them coming from Brazil, her leaving home at 15, maybe the biggest obstacle to overcome in this draft for like all the players, man. Like leaving home, having to go out on your own into a different country and not speaking the language, and being 6'7", like that's tough, man. You know, she stuck out like a sore thumb, and she harnessed that talent and finds herself in the league. I love what Chicago did, y'all. I love it. Looking at another team that made some really good moves, I think, was the Washington Mystics, man, picking up Aaliyah Edwards, who is just a skilled four. They needed a stretch four. Elena Delle Donne not playing this season, so they needed a stretch four, man, to pair with that front court. They already had Shakira Austin, who is a monster in the paint, in the glass, a glass eater, a big physical post player. Now you get some finesse in there with Edwards, who can spread the floor, shoot the rock, and really, really get up and down the floor, but is a gifted passer as well, can dribble it, can go coast to coast if you don't stop ball. Like, just a lot of good things, Aaliyah Edwards, man. She already just looks like a pro. She's played on the Canadian national team, carries herself well, just always looks poised, super consistent, tough, played with a broken nose. We know, like, she is gritty, and she's going to come and instill a toughness in this team that needs it, because they're missing a lot of talent, especially their franchise player, Delle Donne, who will be out. So they will rely on Austin and Edwards, man, this young front court, to grow up quick and perform, man. But I love the fact that Aaliyah Edwards is in a position where she can really get busy, really get her shot off, and really just develop and be able to play through mistakes, because that's big with rookies, man. So excited to see that, man. Aaliyah Edwards, super skilled, super polished, super consistent. You know what you're getting. You know that she'll be able to contribute almost from day one, in my opinion. She'll come in, she'll learn, she'll be a leader, she'll embrace the culture, and hey man, she's welcoming all the Canadians to the nation's capital, so turn up. Lastly, one other player I wanted to touch on was really like the most versatile player probably in the draft, and that's Alyssa Peely, getting taken by the Minnesota Lynx, the storied franchise who Maya Moore and Simone Augustus and so many others had on their back. I'm excited to see what she ends up doing, man. I think just her versatility, being just big, physical, but also so skilled on the perimeter. She's got a post body, but a guard game. She can score down low. She can really shoot the rock. We seen her give South Carolina about 30 of them things. Like, she is just a really tough guard, and she's going to be a walking mismatch. I think Minnesota will definitely be able to utilize her scoring. You know, they addressed some issues in the backcourt, through free agency. Now adding Peely, who can play the 3 or the 4, just was putting Utah on her back all year, man. She had some huge games, 40 point, 30 point. Like, she is a walking bucket. She's instant offense. She's been in college a while, you know what I'm saying? She's a veteran. She's another player like Aaliyah Edwards who's poised, who's ready to contribute, who knows how to conduct herself as a pro. And it's just been incredible in the college ranks. And I think just her being able to get it off the dribble, shoot the basketball, be a bully. She talked about her versatility and her physicality being the two biggest traits for her coming in, and I think that will be exceptional. So I'm excited to see Peely, man. I think she's going to be a bona fide star in the WNBA just because of her versatility. She's a bucket. She's going to be bodying up, and she's got that toughness about her, man, that dog in her. So I'm excited to see. I know J.C. Sheldon also went early to the Dallas Wings, which I think that was a great pick as well. You talk about a 5'10 guard, big guard who can really shoot the basketball. The Wings had a good team last year, man. They've got talent, but they weren't really knocking down any threes. You add Sheldon, who's a really good defender, can pass the basketball, be that point guard, but also light it up from deep, get to the cup. You know what I'm saying? She's a 3-level scorer, a really good defender, and she ain't afraid to get her nose down there and play, you know what I'm saying, get dirty for that basketball. She will get them 50-50 balls. I mean, she's a scrapper, man. She's not backing down, and I think that's a player Dallas will love. Celeste Taylor also got drafted from Ohio State, so that was cool to see, too, this dynamic backcourt. But, yeah, Sheldon's the real deal, man. She's a gamer. She's going to come in and provide shooting, and shooting always translates. So shout out to her as well, man. A lot of talent in that first round, and I'm excited to see these ladies just continue to soar in the professional game. Y'all, on top of that, the Las Vegas Aces, the defending champs, getting Deja Fair, as well as Kate Martin, as well as Liz Kitley, and Angel Jackson out of Jackson State. Y'all, I'm telling y'all right now, the Aces cleaned up. I think Liz Kitley had the potential to be a first-round pick. If Deja Fair is a few inches taller, she's probably a top 10 pick. We're talking about one of the most prolific scorers in college women's basketball history, y'all. Coming in, she's like 4th all-time in the college history women's ranks all time in scoring. She's a walking bucket, and she's coming in with that chip on her shoulder for sure. Liz Kitley, one of the most skilled bigs, very well-rounded. I think her offensive game is a lot further than a lot of bigs that were picked in the first round. I'm just saying. She's a player that's been around 5 years in the college game. It's going to be mature, that understands how to be a pro. Like, these rookies really, I think, have a chance to crack this roster and improve it and add to the depth as well. I love what Seattle did. You know, they got the 3-headed monster coming in with Jewel Lloyd, Scott Diggins, Guamake. And then they add Nika Mule out of UConn, their all-time assist leader, a guard that has good size, that can defend, that will get these superstars the basketball. She's the perfect complement to this lineup, man, with her assist ability, being able to just spread the rock, run the offense, initiate, control the tempo, and really she's just a gifted passer, super unselfish. So I love that pick by Seattle as well. They're doing some great things. Teams are continuing to load up, and I think this rookie class has the potential to be special, man. I know in the past we've seen a lot of these rookies get cut. Some of them will get cut this year, but I think some of the players that we've talked about today will definitely have a chance to make an impact. Not only make the roster, but contribute valuable minutes. And I'm excited to continue to lock in and see what the rest of the season looks like, man. But y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments and how y'all think who these rookies are going to do. Who's going to be the favorites rookie of the year? I think you definitely got to look at Cameron Brink. You got to look at Rakia Jackson for sure. You got to look at Camila Cardoso, Angel Reese, of course, Caitlin Clark. Like, there's a lot of players. JC Sheldon out there with the Wings. Like, you got to look at a lot of these rookies who I think are really in positions to succeed. But y'all holler at me. Let me know how y'all feel in the comments. That's a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Until next time, hey, we out.